Millions of plastic bottles are thrown away every hour. Since plastic takes hundreds of years to degrade, every plastic bottle ever thrown away still exists in nature. Sooner or later, a lot of these bottles find their way to our oceans, rivers, and lakes. Beverage containers are actually one of the biggest contributors to marine litter. Luckily, there is a solution to this problem, and it's actually quite simple. It's called a deposit return system. More than 40 countries and regions already have them. Let's have a closer look at how a deposit system works by examining what we think is the best practice system, the centrally administered return-to-retail model. We will look at three things: how a 10-cent deposit follows a bottle or can, how the recyclable material moves around the system, and finally, how it is all financed. To make everything easy to follow, we use the journey of a plastic bottle. It would be the same story if we followed a can or any other recyclable beverage container. The story starts at the distributor. A bottle is filled up with a delicious beverage. This bottle is then sold to a store. The store pays the distributor the product price, plus a fully refundable deposit, let's say 10 cents. However, the distributor won't get to keep the 10 cents. He has to forward it to the system administrator, which is a non-for-profit organization composed of retail and industry stakeholders responsible for managing the deposit system. Now Linda comes into the store. Hi, Linda. For Linda, it's pretty straightforward. She buys the bottle, and a fully refundable 10-cent deposit is added onto the product price. Of course she knows this. The deposit amount is always displayed separately from the beverage price in the store. Linda finishes her drink and has to decide if the deposit cycle continues. Linda, a responsible citizen, takes the empty bottle back to the store. In principle, every store throughout the country would accept Linda's bottle, either through a reverse vending machine or manually over the counter. One way or the other, Linda gets her 10 cents back in full. Later, the system administrator arranges the pickup of a bottle from the store for counting, sorting, compacting, and sale. The initial 10-cent deposit paid by the store to the distributor and later forwarded to the system administrator is now passed on to the store. The zero-sum game of the deposit money flow is completed. In addition to paying back the 10 cents for the deposit, the system administrator pays out an extra handling fee for each container collected by the store, on average between 1 and 3 cents. See it as a compensation for the efforts of providing a convenient and easily accessible return location for Linda.
Well, I wish my taxation was more like deposits because then I'd get a full refund of my tax return. But no, they're not. You pay the deposit and you get it all back as long as you participate.
A deposit is different from taxation. If you have a tax for each package, you have to pay this tax. By a deposit, you get it back. So by the implementation of deposit systems, we don't have any public discussions in Germany, and we studied it also in other countries, about financial negative effects, because everybody knows I have 20 bottles at home. I take it to the retailer, take back 20 full bottles, and after a first paying a deposit, always it's a closed loop. Also on the financial point of view, I get back the money.
The bottle arrives at the system administrator's counting and sorting center. Here it is sorted and baled together with thousands of other bottles of same color and quality. This bale is then sold to a plastic recycler who further processes the material. Labels and caps are removed for recycling. The bottles are then crushed, washed, and processed into recycled plastic. For the production of a new bottle, the recycled plastic is mixed with new plastic and made into a new bottle preform. The preform is heated in the bottling plant, inflated into a new bottle and labeled. It's sold back to the distributor, and the circle of the bottle is finally completed.
And what happens with the empty containers, cans and bottles? That they are very susceptible to be abandoned. So if they have a value, they disappear. No one abandons them any longer. Or if there is anyone that abandons them, it's not a problem because someone else will see that can or bottle, and because it's perceived as money, they will pick it up and bring it to a shop and get the money back.
the state of Hawaii, or the nonprofit groups in Hawaii, have statistics from beach cleanups conducted every year over the years, and they found that within 2 years of implementation of their container deposit law, that they had a 50% reduction in the percentage of beverage container litter. So if you look at the percentage of beverage container litter as a percent of total litter that they found, it was in the range of 15, 16, 17%. And then after the implementation of the container deposit law, it was around 6%. So it dropped tremendously, and that was with only a 5-cent deposit, a very low deposit value. And it was also with a container deposit law that didn't cover all types of beverages. That deposit law doesn't cover wine or spirits. So you can imagine with a higher deposit and a higher coverage of all the different beverage types, Hawaii could see an even greater decrease in the amount of beverage container litter.
The reason why you don't see bottles and cans on the beaches of California is because of the deposit system.
So, who pays for all of this? Surprisingly, perhaps, there is no public money required at all. The system is set up and operated by retail and industry on a non-for-profit basis and financed through 3 channels. Unredeemed deposits from containers that are not delivered back to the store, the revenues from the sales of the collected materials, and a small administration fee paid by the beverage producers finance the system. The aim of the system is to operate at the lowest possible cost for everyone involved. But how does the system administrator know the amount of unredeemed deposits? Doesn't he need to know what is being sold to understand what comes back? The answer is as simple as it is convenient. It's the bottle's barcode. It carries a lot of valuable information about the brand, bottle measurements and volume, material composition, or deposit value. After all, everybody wants their deposit back.
People often say the deposit return is quite expensive. CPRE's cost-benefit showed there's savings to local councils, there's no cost to the public purse. The only people that pay for the system are those who pollute, which are the people who don't return their containers, and the producers that make the products.
We're not in the luxury anymore of, when we're trying to address this problem of climate change, of turning down measures that we know will work and which contribute to achieving our climate change objectives, and pretending that we can ignore them. We have to do them.